Hi, I'm John Robert Sutton. I travel the globe searching for the finest ingredients and the hidden gems that have been overlooked by mass distribution. Food that is shared by generations of families, culture, and tradition. I will connect you to the stories behind well-sourced food and the people and places who make it happen. Welcome to Truth in Food. And it has been a nonstop month and a half of literally starting in LA, circumnavigating the entire globe, and I am so happy to be back here in the Groove Radio studios to talk about this last journey. And, I have a client that's based in New York, and he owns the One Wine and New York Beer, and very, very successful Chinese immigrant. We went to China, and there was a food show in Shenyang, China. We went out to Shenyang, flew out there, and this massive, massive convention center, I mean, as far as the eye can see, in a city called Shenyang. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's a small city of 20 million people. So you get the idea. And at this convention center, we were displaying and taking the One Wine and the New York Beer to the Chinese market. It's really fascinating because China has a big appetite toward not just American products, but authentic products. So the One Wine is made in Napa, and we were displaying the wine, and it's fascinating to see all walks of life come up. And there were several circumstances where you saw farmers drinking wine for the first time in their lives and kind of didn't know what to do. Gary, who's Chinese, were telling them how to hold the wine and how to drink it. And they were so excited to try wine. And then, like, the statistics are, in the last decade, 1 billion people have put alcohol on their lips for the very first time. So you just see the marketplace for these items that we were selling and distributing in China. It's just phenomenal. My contact there, Mrs. Sung, I have an agreement with in an office in Shenyang. And we not only discussed the distribution of the One Wine and New York Beer across China, but also we have a client, China Southern, which is a huge airline. And China Southern needs nuts. So sometimes you go on a plane and you get a little bowl of nuts, and they wanted cashews and wanted pistachios. So we reached out to the contacts, and people don't have to realize that the best pistachios in the world come from Iran and not California. And Iran historically uses pistachios in food and makes desserts, and the Iranian pistachio's absolutely delicious. It's juicy. There's like oil and an amazing flavor in an Iranian pistachio. And I have a lot of contacts in Iran for food. Someone might be going, oh my God, Iran. Look, I am not, the government, the politicians, their problems are not my problems. I'm not selling arms, okay? I'm just buying and selling pistachios, which, by the way, is legal. So people think there's this huge trade embargo, but there are things in Iran that you're able to buy, and pistachios are one of them. And, they're owned not by the government. These pistachio farms have been in the hands of multi-generational farmers. And so we're going to be shipping a lot of containers of pistachios to Shenyang, to China, so they can be put on the airplane. And cashews come from Brazil. So the cashew tree and the cashew nut actually historically is from Brazil. And when you go to a market and you see a bag of cashews, not the broken cashews, but if you see a bag of broken cashews, it's much cheaper than a bag of whole cashews. And the reason being is they have yet to find a piece of equipment that can peel the membrane back that cashew nut is attached to, or it always breaks. The only way to peel back that membrane on that cashew is by a human being's individual fingers. So that's true. Every single whole cashew that you eat has been peeled back by a human hand. So that's why these are expensive. And there's a whole bunch of problems I have with, people almost in slavery peeling back these cashews because they're so liked around the world. And I think there should be more into where these cashews come from. Africa's a big manufacturer of them. Southern India is. But Brazil, from all my research, from a standpoint of environmental friendly, being that where these cashews come from, and the fact that they have rules in Brazil to give good wages and benefits to people peeling back, that's where I like to get my cashews. So that was what really also came out of the China thing. Now, China, the first time I went to China was in 1991, and I had a camera with me, a video camera at that time, which was even rare for U.S. standards. And I took that camera with me and filmed all over China in 1991. The difference is remarkable. It's almost like looking at the surface of the moon and going back there 30 years later and having the entire surface of the moon filled with skyscrapers and trains running all over the place. China has just had this massive boom. Things are, transportation's easier. I thought the food was incredible. The hotel I was staying at was a Western hotel chain, and the breakfast area alone was about half the size of a football field. I counted 30 chefs preparing 7 different stations of food. They were making pancakes, waffles, eggs. I got addicted. I said, I can't eat any more carbs. I've got to lose some weight. And of course, I had the noodles. I went to the noodle section, the homemade noodle section, and just ate 2 or 3 bowls of this stuff. They prepare it and they put it in this hot water and add vegetables and kind of a pork and hot spices and sauces. It's just so delicious. And that was a station. And then they had the dumpling station. And these are like real large stations where there's just so much good food in there. And this hotel even had, I saw this thing that said, okay, a robot discount. And I kind of glanced over it. Thought it was some gimmick. Well, it was a gimmick, but it wasn't a gimmick. Yes, room service, towels, anything you want ordered to your room, a robot delivers it to your room, rings the doorbell, you open the door, and there's a robot that turns around and the back opens up, your food, your towel, whatever it is, delivers it to your door, and then it goes out back. And I followed this thing with my camera, and it moves down the hall, and if somebody's there, it moves out of the way. It goes to the elevator. It communicates with the elevator. The doors open up. The robot goes in there and goes down to the basement and picks up food or picks up towels or toothpaste. And up at the very top floor is the lounge, the business lounge, where you go and you can, have coffee and, you want a copy of your bill, you need to mail something, you need to have stuff delivered. The robot goes up there and the concierge puts everything in that robot, and it will go down and deliver it to whatever floor needs to be delivered. And I'm just like, gosh, this mechanism that's coming, the wave of automation that is coming is just mind-boggling what's going to happen. And so I for whatever it is, I enjoy China because it's like going to the future. It's like, okay, you're going into these massive cities. How are they moving millions of people around? They have such an efficient train system. They have such an efficient payment system. Hardly any currency is exchanged. It's all on barcodes. So you're just blip, blip. That's how they pay. Blip, 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 blip. It's just so fast. And it's because if you're caught cheating, if you're caught stealing in China, jail's probably a good thing. It's the shaming that's going to happen to you the rest of your life, meaning you're going to be in a database, and every time your name pops up, you stole something, and there's plenty of people to take your place. But that's a whole nother world in China on what's going on there. The modern infrastructure, I just thought the service was amazing. So you're just getting, the price is ridiculous. I mean, great rooms for hotels, the service, the food, the friendliness of the Chinese people. I couldn't have asked for a better experience. And, great business. I mean, the thing is with me, everybody says, oh, you're the Anthony Bourdain. Look, no one will be him, and there's no way I'm even going to go breach that subject of being anything like that hero at all. Because I'm not going on a vacation. People see me going all over the place. I'm not on vacation. I'm working. I have to sell stuff into these countries. So, I have people are like, oh, I've been to 50 countries, 60 countries. Well, have you been to 47 countries with signed contracts where you've done business and shipped and signed and sold and all of this? And, it's a challenge. And, right now the bureaucracy in China is actually a lot easier than the bureaucracy in the state of California. I mean, if I have to ship something here to a distributor in the state of California or the U.S., do you realize the paperwork that the U.S. government has forced upon small businesses? You have to have 7 different certification, HACCP, and all of these food safety programs, which all they were created was to destroy the little guy, because the lawyers and the amount of time and energy it takes to build up the system of having to get recertified and certified this and certifications, it's such BS. And it's just so wrong to do for small business and small shippers and everything else. And it was just done to protect these massive food companies to easily ship stuff around the world. And you go to China and I'm like, okay, I need to ship this food. What do I do? Well, just ship it. Okay. Yeah, they know. I mean, they're not going to go and poison people. And so their whole way of looking at stuff is very efficient, very quick, very timely. And I thought that, a lot of people think, oh, this communist country and this bureaucracy, so far, so wrong to think of China that way. I mean, they're building airports in 3 years, massive airports. I know Chicago, they said they're doing a runway extension and a refurbishment, which is going to take 12 years. It'll be done in the year 2030. It's like, okay, I wonder who's getting all that payola, Well, from China, I then took off and went over to the biological weapons laboratory in Russia, in Siberia, in Kosovo. It's called Vector. I guess they don't call it, it was the former biological weapons laboratory. There they hold it. I guess this place is like a cross between the Center of Disease Control and the U.S. Army Biological Weapons Command Center. Okay. And what they do there is they fight, like the CDC, they fight off and ward off infectious diseases. It's there to protect the populace. Well, out of this lab, they have developed something fascinating that I'm very fortunate to now be able to be licensing. And what it is it's the Russia decided to go toward a probiotic way of looking at healing wounds. We in the United States have an antibiotic way of healing wounds. So do you want something pro or do you want something anti? Very interesting. What did Russia do? Well, when you cut yourself, we put Neosporin and antibiotics that essentially what that does is wipe out all bacteria on your skin, both the good and the bad. So it takes a lot longer to heal. And, here's a tube of it. I can't disclose everything yet, but in this tube is what thousands of Russian scientists labored for decades to go into the Siberian soil and find a very, very virulent, powerful bacteria that's good for you. That actually, when you put on a cut and wound, it heals your skin, prevents scarring, and it's done so much faster because it's a probiotic. It keeps the good bacteria on your skin and kills all the bad bacteria. So it's a faster healing process. It is like putting a food on your skin instead of a chemical and an agent that Neosporin and that antibiotic is now seeping into your bloodstream and causing all sorts of other damage that you're completely unaware of. That's a whole nother topic. So, plus, this bacteria that the Russians looked at, think about it. Siberia has been there for millions of years. You have the coldest conditions on Earth. And then in the summertime, it's very, very hot. So over millions of years, bacteria has formed to survive those extreme conditions. And these Russian scientists have found this bacteria, and they've created a line of products that are so beneficial for you. And when I was there are cosmonauts there. And I'm like, there's cosmonauts here. That's like, well, yeah, our government funds medical research. We help cosmonauts. We help the people through government funding for making drugs. In the United States, the government doesn't do that. It's all a private initiative. Just to make money. So what is their best interest? To really solve a problem or just make a whole ton of money? Well, in Russia, they really are looking at solving medical problems. And one of these drugs, it was delivered through the eyeball, and it actually changed the way your brain actually uses your body's sleeping rhythm to boost your immune system. Unbelievable. Yeah, I have access to that too. Banned in the United States, but used widely in Russia. And that comes to the topic that if there's a government agency, country like Russia, that for decades have used their drugs with their populace that's been shown to heal all sorts of diseases, all sorts of psychological problems, proven on the marketplace, but yet absolutely, completely forbidden and banned in the United States. That should be taken, that should be really, really looked at, and somebody should do more of an investigation on that. The reason why the news media and all these other things will not do it, because they're going to lose their drug ad revenue on the networks. And that's just the fact of life. So the other amazing thing about all this is living. Remember this. This is alive. Inside this amazing package is living, powerful bacteria that, yes, you put on your skin. It cures that. And also, they have powder with this bacteria in there. And what do you do with the powder? You put it on your toothbrush and you brush your teeth. This probiotic wipes out all the bad bacteria. Why does your breath smell? Because there's bad bacteria that creates a smell. Wipes all of that out. Wipes out all the plaque. It's causing an amazing revolution in dentistry over in Russia because you are not using toothpaste, which there's now studies that show that a lot of these old toothpastes, every time you brush your teeth, your gums are so close to the bloodstream, it's absorbing horrible chemicals from toothpaste. And over a lifetime of brushing your teeth, it's causing Alzheimer's, it's causing an untimely early death, it's causing plaque, You don't realize it, but by this, what your gums are absorbing into your body over a lifetime of doing this is destruction. It's the same thing as, is coffee good with you? Black coffee's good for you. Putting tons of cream and tons of sugar in coffee over a lifetime, think of how much more sugar and how much more cream is clogging up that body. Well, it's the same thing with using toothpaste to brush your teeth. This stuff is going to totally change the way your mouth and gum feels. In the other room, there was a group from India, and I'm like, what's going on over there? They're like, we just solved their smell problem in the entire city. I'm like, what are you talking about? This bacteria, when diluted, drops of it diluted in gallons and gallons of water, is flushed throughout a sewer system. It kills all the bad bacteria that has that horrible smell. So imagine a city of New York or a city like LA now has the ability to use this bacteria to destroy all the horrible smells that you smell coming out of a city's septic tanks or sewer systems. And again, it's bacteria. It's a probiotic, not a chemical, not, Mr. Clean, which is, Mr. Clean is cleaning your kitchen, but Mr. Clean is killing the environment. You know what I'm saying? All that gets flushed out into the oceans. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, we have got to look, and this is what I do. I travel to the ends of the earth. How I ended up in that biological weapons laboratory, that's a whole nother topic. But I got there. The deal is done. We're bringing this to the U.S. I'm so excited because one of the first places I want to go is these diabetes clinics where everybody cannot heal well. Your immune systems are compromised. All in these elderly homes. The wound care business is a $30 billion a year business. It's a joke. People's skin and they're not scabbing correctly. We'll be able to bring this in so inexpensively to help a lot of these people out. In a lot of cases, it'll just be at cost because having wounds is a terrible, the bleeding and all of this stuff, and to have a solution to be able to handle that is so important for humanity. And this is what I really try and do. So then after all of that fun stuff and meeting all the heads of the labs, we went over to Tomsk. And in Tomsk, there's another incredible product there, which is pine nut milk. And Russia uses pine nut milk as a non-dairy creamer. So if you have a cup of coffee and you don't want milk in there, a lot of people put almond milk in their coffee. And Starbucks and all these other coffee, do you realize how destructive almonds are to the state of California? So a pound of almonds takes 2,000 gallons of water to make. One almond is almost 2 gallons of water it takes to make one almond. And remember, California is a desert, so all the almond trees are growing in a desert. That water has to be pumped using electricity from another thing that people don't understand. California's like, we're building all of these gas plants. We have all of this wind industry. Do you know California's buying energy from Mexico right across the border that's using oil and horrible polluting facilities? But because they're not in the state of California says, we don't have any of these plants. Well, they've outsourced all of them to Mexico, and they're buying power from Mexico, and that power is being used. Almost half of all the money spent on electricity in the state of California goes to pump water. Do you know how much money it goes to pump water from Northern California to the desert and Southern California? The amount of money to do that is a huge problem. So almonds are a massive, massive environmental disaster to the so-called environmentally friendly state, but the owners are such lobbyists, have paid off so many people. I'm not going to say the names, but I know who you are. And you know how I'm going to combat you? Is I'm bringing in my pine nut milk from Russia, which is 100% sustainable. Why? These pine trees are 100 years old, does not require fertilizer like the desert soil requires for all of those almond trees. Doesn't require one drop of pumped water because it's in a snow land where the water comes naturally. And these pine cones fall off the trees and are collected year after year after year. You don't have to plant, you don't have to cut, you don't have to do all of this stuff. And all you're doing is you're taking that pine nut, which is that oil in a pine nut. It's actually a seed, really, but they call it a pine nut, is ground down, and all that oil is ground down to a powder, and they add water into it. And that's what makes this delicious pine nut milk. And that's one variation. The other variation is they add honey to it. Natural, clean Siberian honey from eucalyptus and from other trees. And you add that honey into the pine milk and you have the other and you put that in your coffee. Unbelievable. That's how I'm going to beat it. Is I'm not going to sit here and point fingers. I'm going to the ends of the earth to find a solution. And that's what this show's about. We're here to find solutions. We're here to, my approach has always been not an adversarial approach. Everybody's accusing this person and fighting that person and reading things they have no idea what they're talking about. Let's all have a consultative approach. Let's all go into a situation and not be adversarial. Everybody has something to add. And that's what I call a consultative approach. And if it's the one thing that says, God, how do you do this all over the world? It's literally going in with a blindfold and having a discussion and listening and seeing how we can really, truly make the world a better place. And Siberia and Russia has so much to offer. But you mention Russia and everyone has all these horrible connotations politically and this and that. You know what? Again, politicians' problems are not my problems. I see a solution. It's something that can truly make the world a better place. It is environmentally friendly. It's a solution to save the planet. It's a solution to save your body. And I have so many examples of this where I've gone all over the world and found these things. And this is what this show's about. And very shortly, you'll be able to go on Sutton Selects right from this program and to be able to buy all these things. We're working on it. We're going to be sending this to millions of people. And you've got to watch this show because this show is going to give you a glimpse into the future, into prosperity. And I'm talking about health and wealth because a lot of ways money is energy, okay? It's the energy that you need to breathe, to think, to get your mind off of negative energy and rise into a positive sphere of environment. So a lot of times when you're out there searching for somebody to do something for you, if you have a problem and you're sitting there and you're searching for that person to make it all happen, just look in the mirror, please. That's who you're going to find in most of the cases to go and solve what you are searching for. It's you. And anyway, this show and all my experience can make you live a happy, healthy life. This is what it's all about. I will continue on the next segments, continuing the show through. We went to Moscow and Germany for the Onuga Food Show, Malta, London, and Scotland. Stay tuned, and New York. Stay tuned. We'll tell you all about it. But have a fabulous day. And again, thank you for joining me today on Truth in Food. I'm John Robert Sutton. For more information about this program, please visit my website at suttonselects.com or follow me on social media at Sutton Selects.